Welcome back, everybody, to Top Tier Studios. This is episode 23, and in this episode we are going to be starting work on the actual studio tour. And it's taken 23 episodes to actually get this right in, but it's something that I did not want to leave out of this series, so it's something that I felt necessary for this park. So we are going to be building that in this episode. This is not going to be the last thing we do for this park. We have one more area afterwards, so we are kind of closing in on the end. And I keep saying that over the past couple of episodes, but we are getting pretty close there. And right across from this is actually the location of this ride is right across from the hotel that we built last episode, and then and next to the Back to the Future go-kart track that we have. So it's really kind of like in this really small plot of land. It's really skinny, and it kind of just goes back to, it's kind of almost back to the very edge of the Back to the Future area, I guess. And basically this is going to be pretty much all inside of a show building, and I decided to actually, instead of going to like the behind the scenes of a like multiple sets for multiple movies, I decided to make it just a normal, I guess, like kind of like city based movie. And the Backstage part comes in when you got the it's basically more of a studio tour, not just the behind the scenes of the movie. It's kind of hard to explain. Basically, the ride layout goes, you enter the actual studio, and then there's going to be like the props and the clothing and stuff that they would wear in the movie. They have the dressing rooms, they have like the green screen where the cameras and all that stuff, and then they're going to have like a little snack bar. And speaking of that, this ride, like a couple other rides in the actual park, is sponsored by a certain character within Planet Coaster. So this one's going to be sponsored by none other than Fox, or Street Box Coffee. I don't know. I don't remember her name exactly. It's the Fox that does the coffee. So that is what we have for this one, and it's really kind of a small layout. The layout itself is pretty much done. We just kind of have to theme it, and we're actually only going to get half of this ride done today. So the first half, or we're actually going to leave the first quarter and the last quarter, including the station and queue. That's going to be done in the next episode. This episode is going to focus on the middle section where you're actually inside of the studio. So that's going to include all this theming. The next episode will most likely be that station entrance area type thing, kind of making the transitions from the Back to the Future area kind of come through the area so that we can lead into our final area. And that's going to take a little bit of planning, and the reason why I say that is because the next area is going to be a lot of terrain based, something that's not really the same for the other areas of the park. So we're going to have a little bit of a different area. If that gives you like any hint to what it's going to be like, that's, I don't know. I try not to reveal it just yet because we do have a little ways to go, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there. So now we are still going to work on, it's kind of hard to go back to what we're doing because it's going to be for a while the same thing. So for the first part that we're doing here, I went back to that Theme Maker's Toolkit set that I used in the beginning of the series. I didn't delete it, just kind of moved it out of the way because I knew I was going to come back to it eventually. So I'm actually going back to it. I don't remember the name of it or the creator, although in like the first or second episode I did use it, and I did fully like shout him out and all that. So it's an awesome set. It's basically like a gift shop set, but I used it as more of a prop set and a costume rack. So that's kind of how I got that stuff, and that way it saved a lot of time and it looks awesome. So link in the description for the link to the Steam page where you can download it, and then it'll have credit as well to the creator. So awesome set. Definitely, if you want to theme anything that you need clothes and props for, definitely look at that. You could probably get some good use out of it. Anyway, we are moving on. You saw that I built a little what do you call it? I said it earlier. We built a little dressing room. That's what you call it. There's a couple. Basically, it's just a brick wall with a couple doors on it, and there's like 6 or 7, or 5 actually. But that's not really gonna have any theme to it. We're just gonna drive by in the little bus, and then that's it. So now we're gonna kind of move on. We actually did this already as well. We are gonna move on to the stage area. We're kind of filling in areas as we go as well. We're kind of bouncing around, but we put in this green screen. I found this when I was looking through the scenery. So that's gonna be basically where the actual recording is going on. So if you think something that has a full-on green screen background, and then there's just going to be a couple actors standing around, and then there's going to be a bunch of cameras and a bunch of like set props and stuff like that for like the camera crew and all that. And then we kind of bounced back a little bit. We did some put a little crates here and there, a couple of trucks going in, and then I accidentally changed the green screen to an actual billboard, and I couldn't get it back, so it took me a couple minutes to figure that out, but I did that. And then we're just going to put in all this props. And there's actually going to be a door for the bus to go through as well. We put that in. That is going to be a triggered sequence. Anything else in the ride probably won't have a trigger to it, but that one will, because you don't want to be driving through just a wall. And I don't want it to be open to see from the paths so people can see in. It kind of defeats the purpose of the ride. So that's kind of where we're heading there. And then we're basically, as I said, filling in this area with a bunch of movie crew members and actors, making sure everything kind of feels like a movie set. And I feel like this is a lot different than what normally people go for a studio tour. They make these big elaborate sets, and that's all you see. This one's a little bit different, where you actually see the actual behind the scenes. You see those dressing rooms, the costume rack, and all of that good stuff. So, and then remember, this is all going to be inside a big warehouse, and something that we're actually going to do near the end of the episode, we're actually going to make a custom sign for it. I really like how the sign came out. It's really unique. It kind of it looks a lot more modern than a lot of other stuff. So I'm really proud of how it came out. Yeah, I just kind of named it studio, and then I put a number. I think originally I wanted to go with 56 or something, or 65. But I couldn't get it to work right, so I went with a different number. But you'll see that here in a couple of minutes. Right now, we are actually building this food area. So I don't know exactly how it works, because I'm not an actor of any sort. But if you go into a set, I'm assuming that they have food for the actors and the crew. So I kind of made this, and this is how I incorporated the Fox coffee into it. They're gonna have their own stand here. They can get the coffee, the drinks, any food that they want. So that's how I really tied that in here, and that's how I'm going to utilize the actor, or the Fox, I guess. So in the area at the actual paths, you'll probably see the Fox walking around. So yeah, and now we're actually moving on to the edge or the last section of the indoor space, and then we just kind of cover up the paths and all that. But this is, again, just more props. I kind of ran out of ideas. I thought I was going to run out of space, I'm going to be honest there, but I didn't, so I just kind of put in a bunch more props. And this one's more, what do you call it? This would be more movie-based, I guess. So as I said in the beginning, this is going to be more of a city-style movie. So we got a couple of cones, some tires, a dumpster, and we have some street lights. And then I'm putting in some cars as well. So we got that police car and a taxi. So that's kind of what I did there, just to kind of fill in that last little bit of space. And that's the interior done. Now we're going to work on the exterior, and that's where this big warehouse structure is going to come in, pretty much just like the rest of them, except this one I'm going to leave all sides blank, not covering up the first side that is seen by the paths. It's also going to look like a warehouse, and that's really what I wanted to go for. If you look at studio buildings, they're pretty much just big warehouses with the name studio and then the number. So that's really what I went for. And I like how it came out. Again, I put in that sign, which you will see me build here in a couple of seconds, actually. I'm just getting a couple things situated here. We'll put on the roof, and then we'll move on to that sign. And then that's actually what we're going to end on for the episode. So kind of moving along pretty quickly here. And then there's not much else to talk about. The next episode, as I said, we'll kind of work on the beginning and the ending half of the ride, along with the station and the queue. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm thinking for this. If you have any other suggestions, be sure to let me know. But basically, I'm thinking, because I didn't really want to make it a full-on building or anything, I'm thinking more of tarp-like stuff. Because I feel like having a building and then going outside and then having another building would just kind of be redundant. So I wanted to make the first and last part of it where the station is, I wanted to make that a lot more, what do you call it, like a lot, it's better flowing. So the queue would be outside and along with the actual station. We'll put like a couple tarps over the bus and over the queue so people aren't like overheating or anything. And that, I think that's where we'll leave that. But of course, if you have any other suggestions, be sure to let me know. I'd love to know. Anyway, we are moving on to the sign finally, and don't judge me for my spelling because I missed the T in studio. I noticed it and I fixed it. At least I didn't put it up without the T. But we're gonna go in with this modern style circular sign. So we have this S, and this one actually has a little bit of a color change to it, and it goes into a bigger size curve. And the way it I like how it came out, but it kind of breaks it up, makes it a little bit more like standing out, especially with a different color. So then we did a different color for the dot on the I, and then it's all connected by this like underlying row, and I like how that came out as well. And then with the numbers, you saw me try and make a 6 and a 5, did not work out, so I decided to go with an 8 instead. And so I originally thought Studio 88. And so now we're going to actually post this onto the building, and it's a little big for the building itself, but I just kind of fit it in as best I could. I wasn't going to go and raise the building a little bit bigger. So I think we actually did have to reduce it to Studio 8, had to delete one of them, but that is okay. And that is actually going to bring us to the end of the episode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Next episode we should move on to finishing this ride and getting the planning for the rest of it. So thank you so much for watching, and make sure to have an amazing day.